Hello. Did you miss me? I haven't done a video in months. I don't even know. But here I am, and I will explain why I haven't done a video in months in just a sec. But first of all, please admire my book shirt. Only you can prevent. And then it says book burnings on the bottom, and it says read banned books on his stack of books. So lovely. I enjoy this shirt very much. I wear it all the time now. So, I have not been doing a video in forever. So, welcome back to Jessica Recommends. And the reason why I haven't been doing that is just life in general, but also because I am a judge for this year's World Fantasy Award. And so I have been reading tons and tons of books, so many books, but I haven't wanted to talk about any of them because some of them are about to end up on a ballot and be nominated for a major award. And I didn't want to show any favoritism or take the risk that I was going to hold up what I'm reading and be like, I'm reading this, but I'm not going to finish it. And and it's somebody's favorite book or the book that somebody wrote. So, um, I have read 100 books, either entirely or at least the first 50 to 100 pages of them since January 1st. And I have discovered some amazing things and some very funny things and found new authors that I love. And I will talk about all that much later in the year. The World Fantasy Awards, the ballot's going to be announced soon, but the actual winners won't be announced until first week of November. So sometime in November, please look for a big post-mortem where I'm not going to talk about the books I hated because you know me, I'm not tacky like that. But I am going to be holding up just a truckload of books and being like, this was amazing, this was amazing, this was amazing. So, and we just finished the big Zoom call with all the judges and picking our favorites for the ballot, and it was really fun. And the other judges are all amazing people. We've had a good time getting to know each other. And so I thought, you know what? I'm sitting here, I got book shirt on, makeup done, little light over there making me all glowy. So I might as well quickly shoot a video because since the ballot is in, I can now turn to reading stuff that I am excited to read because it's just stuff that I'm excited to read. Sorry, don't know how to describe this. Basically, if you look over here, you will see the little library cart right there. That is entirely filled with books that I have owned for at least a year and have not yet had a chance to read. Some of those things are older than a couple of my children. And so my goal now going forward is to go through that library cart and start reading those books. But there's also been a ton of new releases recently that I have had to set aside and not been able to dive into yet. And so I'm really excited to talk about those. So we're going to talk about what I am going to be reading this summer. And very excited about this, as you can tell, Big Smiles. So, first of all, what am I reading right now? Um, Reading aloud to the kids. Thursdays. Is it With the Crown? I wrote this book. I don't know. Thursdays with the Crown. We are reading Thursdays with the Crown aloud. I am going through all the Castle Glower books with my kids for reasons, and not the least of which that the youngest, who was a newborn, I think, when I was writing this book, um, he said he's now 13. He said he's read it. Judging from the look on his face as I read, he didn't read it. So, reading it aloud to my kids so they get the full experience of what mommy does for a living. Reading to myself, Navila by Paolo Bacigalupi, which is sort of strange and slow and wonderful, and I'm enjoying it very much, and I've been reading it very slowly. And listening to, but I have the physical book here, Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman, which my sister and her husband became obsessed with, and they've now been through the whole series, and they're like, as soon as you have a chance, you have to read these books. And I'm like, Okay. Oh my gosh. Started it yesterday. I'm more than halfway through, cannot stop reading. In fact, while I was setting up the stacks of books around me, um, I was listening to the audiobook and I just barely remembered to turn it off before I started recording. I was just going to start talking over Carl or just record myself sitting here playing a game on my phone while while it talked. The audiobook reader sounds like Kronk from Emperor's New Groove. He is doing his very best impression of the actor whose name has left my head. He was Putty on Seinfeld. He was Kronk. He's the guy who introduces you to the Soarin' over California ride and stuff like that. Anyway, the guy's voice for Carl is sounds like that, and it's fantastic. But it is for adults. Novella actually is like sort of the life story of the character. And so, so far, he is just still a young man. And it is actually, I would totally give this to a teen if they wanted like just a really sort of very slow burn, vaguely Renaissance Italy type of world. Um, Look, if they were into that, I would 100% recommend this so far. I do not know if there's some stuff later that makes it inappropriate, so take that with a grain of salt. This, not appropriate for kids, super hilarious for adults, though. There's a lot of language, some Fs, some other things. Um, but so fun. Okay, so what am I gonna read next, though? So excited! The latest Lore Olympus collection by Rachel Smythe. I'm obsessed with these. This Greek mythology, her webtoon that she does. Because, I mean, come on, girls, why wouldn't we be into this, right? Um, Loving this very long, you know, unusual retelling of Hades and Persephone, if you are into that. And this is also upper, I would say upper teen adult. Um, Really fabulous. Loving these. Very excited to get into that next one. I, of course, had it pre-ordered and it came, and I was like in the thick of having to read three things at once for the award, and that's when I had to build the cart actually had to take my to read pile from upstairs to downstairs and put it in my office where I could just occasionally gaze at it lovingly. But I found out that if it was on my bedside table, I would keep trying to grab it instead of the things I was supposed to be reading. So, anyway, all these things had to come down in the cart. My Imaginary Mary by the Lady Janies, Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jody Meadows. This one is Mary Shelley. If you do not know about their books, the Lady Janies, that started with My Lady Jane, which was made into an Amazon Prime series, which was fabulous. The Prime series, I feel like, was very adult. These are young adult. I have not really had an issue with the content of any of the books so far, and I've read them all. And but they definitely made the Amazon Prime series a little more Bridgerton-y, shall we say. But anyway, so there's my Lady Jane, my Plain Jane, my Calamity Jane, and then my Contrary Mary and my Imaginary Mary, and they are reimaginings of these women from history. Just so fabulous. So Lady Jane Grey was the first one, and so good. So Sunrise on the Reaping. If I by Suzanne Collins. If I do not read this immediately, someone at dance will possibly come and murder me because a friend of mine at Irish Dance has been every week. Have you read it yet? Because they want to talk about it with me. And I'm like, no, you know I can't. I can't until like July. And so they keep coming up, so I gotta read that. I've got to read that very soon. I mean, I really want to, but also I might be murdered for not reading this fast enough so that we can discuss it at dance. The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. I have been hearing about John Gwynne and this book in particular for a while, and I finally bought my own copy, and I bought it right as I started to get, I did not really realize with the judging how many books there would be. I got it right as I was starting to get a couple books for the judging, and I'm like, oh, so I'll read one for the World Fantasy Award, then I'll read one of these, and one for the World Fantasy Award, and then I will read this, and then I got to my home, not just my P.O. box, because it was so big and there were so many. Literally received 3 boxes from one publisher that were this big in one afternoon, and there were 200 books. And I'm like, oh, yeah, there's no one of mine, one of yours happening at all, is there? So, same thing, linked Gordon Corman. My 2 younger kids have both read it. I love Gordon Corman, have since I was a wee Jessie Poo, and have been really excited to read this one. So, and I know everyone in the world's read that. And ditto, Restart. Love me some Gordon Corman. Had bought both Linked and Restart for my kids like a few months ago and was like, oh, maybe we can read these aloud together or something. And then both of them just grabbed them and read them. And so I will just read them myself. The Grimoire Grammar School Parent Teacher Association by Caitlin Rosakis, which I just picked up the other day because, first of all, check out that fabulous production value of this. And I just had read Dreadful by her for the award, and Dreadful also has fabulous cover and sprayed edges and stuff, and it was very exciting. And then my friend Sarah Beth Durst just recommended this, especially. This just barely came out, and Sarah Beth was like, "Oh my gosh, this is fabulous. You have got to read this." And so the Grimoire Grammar School Parent Teacher Association, I looked at the back and I'm like, "Oh, this is 100% my jam." Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames is something I've been hearing about for a long time. It is basically like a mercenary group from way back in the day. They've all long since retired and they do not fight anymore. And but one of them, their daughter is kidnapped, and so they get it says the boys are back in town, but basically they get the band back together and they go on this quest to rescue the one guy's kidnapped daughter. And they are old and crotchety and too fat to fit into their armor, some of them, and things like that. And I've just heard such delightful things about this, so I'm real excited for that. The Dragon Slayers by Bruce Coville. I love Bruce Coville. Bruce is just the best. I mean, as a human being as well as a writer. And I think this might be an older book that just got some fancy new treatment, actually, is what this is. I believe this is a re-release of a book. It's illustrated. It just looks super fun. And I love Bruce Coville, so had to get that. Titan of the Stars by E.K. Johnston. I love Kate's books. They're always so wonderful. If you don't know about her Star Wars books, if you like Star Wars at all, she writes fabulous Star Wars books about Queen Amidala. She writes about Ahsoka and things like that. And then her own books like The Legend of Owen and things like that about dragon slayers in modern day Canada and about space in the far future. Wonderful. This is her latest, Titan of the Stars. And of course, I had to pre-order that because it's great. And speaking of course, I had to pre-order it, Written on the Dark by Guy Gavriel Kay. Guy Gavriel Kay is probably the best living writer today. His writing is so gorgeous. They're sort of, it's called historical fantasy, what he does, and I know I've waxed rhapsodic about him before. His writing itself is just so beautiful, just a feast. He's also published poetry, and I love his books, and also he is a genuinely lovely human being. And of course, this was an auto buy for me, and this is the one that when this came, when my pre-order arrived, I had to hide it from myself. I had to bring it down here and I couldn't even put it in the library cart. I actually couldn't find it a minute ago because when I was looking for it, because I actually had to hide it from myself because this was the hardest thing to not read. And for fun, All Roads Lead to Rome by Shamile Sayed Mendez and Love of My Lives. This one's been out for a little while. This one comes out on Tuesday, and I was lucky enough to be given a copy already. And just delightful. She's a delightful person, and all of her books have been so fun. And I loved her. These are adult rom-coms, and I loved her Twice a Quinceañera, and which highly recommend. And so excited to get these. And these just feel like a perfect summer beach read. So I'm very excited to dive into those. Simon Sort of Says by Aaron Bow. I've been hearing about this since it was first published, and then it came out and won so many awards. It is a Newbery Honor Book, National Book Award long list, the oh my gosh, can't read anything. Oh my gosh, I cannot even slightly read this, but this book award as well. Then I cannot read their sticker at all. I've heard such good things. I have read other books of Aaron Bowes, and they have been great. And so I'm really excited to read this. I'm kind of wondering about reading this aloud to the kids, though, because it feels like something we would all enjoy. Dune, the graphic novel, book three, The Prophet. Uh, I love Dune. I collect copies of Dune and Dune adjacent things, and I have been loving the graphic novels. I think they have been fabulous. They've been breaking the first book up into pieces so that the graphic novel is not, like 3,000 pages long. And this is the third one. And I have had this on the bedside table forever and a day and had just been slowly starting to pick my way through it and then had to hide it from myself. And this The Tome of All Tomes. It's true, Brandon Sanderson's Wind and Truth. I have not read yet, even though I love the Stormlight Archives so much. This came out right as I was starting my holiday reading, and this last year, you know, my dad passed away suddenly at the beginning of November, and so I jumped into my Christmas holiday reading a little bit early this year because I needed it. And so this came out, and I had to set it aside at first because I just was not mentally in the mood for this, and then I was not mentally in the mood for it because of the judging. The judging! I know I complain about it, but it really has been very fun and very interesting. Also, Star Trek Lower Decks. Our whole family are fans. We are the hugest fan of the TV show. Um, if you don't know Lower Decks is one of the best Star Trek anythings that's ever been done. Hilarious as all get out, and they have just started publishing these comics. This one, Warp Your Own Way, is actually sort of a Groundhog Day type of storyline where you, the reader, have trouble getting to the ending. From what I've heard, everyone else in the family but me has read it, and they have all loved it. And you start reading and you turn the page, and then suddenly you have to go back to the beginning, and it just keeps going round and round until you work your way out of the story. I'm very jazzed about that. And then Star Trek Lower Decks, rarely going where no one has gone before. It just looks like such a fun comic, and I'm big fans of all the characters and everything about Lower Decks. So I'm very excited to dive into those. And the other project I am doing this summer is, if you know that I knit. If you know me, you know that I am not ever without my knitting. I can kind of crochet. I can make little edges on baby blankets, kind of with crochet. But a year ago, my husband bought me those, those kits you always see advertised. And this is not a paid promotion. This is genuinely something that happened. My husband bought the Woobles kits. He bought their crochet. He bought the whole Snoopy kit for me as a present. So I've got Snoopy, and I've got Snoopy's flying ace clothes, and I've got Woodstock, and I've got my favorite thing is Woodstock's winter coat. Anytime you see Snoopy or Woodstock wearing a giant puffy coat, I just die of laughter. So my husband got me that whole set of kits, but since I'm not a solid crocheter and you have to sort of watch along with the video to do it, I am just barely about to finish the actual Snoopy and very excited about it. He's looking good. And so I want to work on this summer, and I will show off my project progress at the end of the summer. Then you can see if I have been able to knit Snoopy and Woodstock by the end of the summer. And also, I think I might do an update and tell you if I read this entire stack. They're so heavy of books, and they're so heavy by the end of the summer. Keep watching and find out. Thanks so much, guys. So keep reading. Have a great summer. put your sunblock on, and we'll hopefully see you soon and be able to start doing new videos more regularly.